Hello and welcome to the Car Care Reviews channel, and welcome to the 2025 Volvo XC90. All updated for 2025, and in today's video we're going to take a look under the hood, take a look underneath it, inside and out, some things we like, some things we do not like, right after this. Let's take a look under the hood of the Volvo XC90 in 2025, although things didn't change significantly in 2025, but let's go over them. This particular tester we have here is the T8 model, which is a plug-in hybrid model. Very interesting orientation for this one, because this is what they call the twin engine. It doesn't have two engines, let's just clarify that part. So over here you have a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and then all the way in the back you have another motor that is an electric motor, and that's what drives the rear wheel. So technically this is a front-wheel drive car, can become rear-wheel drive if you have the rear motor drive the car, or they can both drive and it's all-wheel drive. Pretty interesting design though. So the way they did this is there's no transfer case or drive shaft going to the back. Instead, where that would be normal in a non-plug-in hybrid model, that's where the battery is. They just put it in the transmission tunnel. I think a pretty interesting design. They've been doing this for a very long time. Now, this engine did go through a few iterations here. Very little information available on these, and this is something with Volvo that I wish we would have more real technical data, not the brochure that you get from the dealership. So let's dive into this engine, because it's kind of an interesting engine. This is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, the B4204T57. A very long name, which I don't know why it's that long, but that's the engine. Very little information available. We tried to dig a little bit for real technical information. Here's what I was able to find. On the mechanical construction, it's a single-piece cylinder head with the valve cover that is aluminum, because the valve cover has the cam caps. So if you remove the valve cover, basically the cams just stick out. Doesn't have a gasket, has sealer. And this engine is a timing belt engine. Every 10 years, 100,000 miles, you can change the timing belt. But then in this particular configuration, you do not have a drive belt, just have a harmonic balancer. There's no drive belt. Compressor is electric. This is being a plug-in hybrid, doesn't have an alternator. And the water pump is electric. So that's pretty cool. Let's get into this a little bit deeper, because mated to this engine is an 8-speed automatic transmission from Aisin, which is basically a similar version transmission to that you'll find in Toyota Highlander, basically almost every single Toyota and Lexus with an 8-speed. It's the same transmission. Direct shift, Aisin. Decent transmission, does have a few issues, but it's a Japanese transmission. Under the hood here, let's kind of try to decipher what's going on here. So you got the engine. This is the inverter, or the kind of the drive unit for the rear motor. And this is what does everything. This does have a high voltage battery that we talked about, sits in the transmission tunnel. It is coolant cooled. It does have a battery chiller, which is pretty cool. That's something from electric cars. So it could use refrigerant to cool down the coolant that is going to cool the battery. That is pretty interesting. This does not have a heat pump or anything special. Usually plug-in hybrids are starting with heat pumps or something different. This doesn't have any of that. It just has a regular good old HVAC system. This engine does have direct injection only. And here's the interesting thing. They have the direct injectors literally sitting right next to the ignition coils, right at the top. Now, it's a good place for accessibility for service, but not great if you have to remove the valve cover. Although this valve cover is complicated to begin with because it has a cam cap, so I get that. But looking around everything, this is the interesting part. I mean, they have made such a great effort here to make sure you never open this hood and you can't figure out a thing. Volvo's always been doing this. The engine cover, for example. You have these plastic Torx screws or fasteners or whatever you want to call them to hold it. Why? It costs you more. It adds more to service just to remove a cover. And then we look at everything else. For lack of a better word, there is a sea of cheapo plastic fittings everywhere. And on top of that, if that was not enough, there are some hoses, but they have one-time use clamps. And the strangest type I've never seen. I mean, a radiator hose, you want to remove it, yeah, you have to replace the clamp. And you have to possibly destroy the hose to get the clamp off. Why? I mean, you already put a clamp. Why don't we just put a reusable clamp where we can take it off, do what we need to do, and then put it back? No, not here. Here's the biggest problem with powertrains like this. They're one-off, and they're very strange and very different than any other car. Going to repair one requires an enormous amount of special tools that no shop will seem like we see enough of these to really justify it. That's the problem. So if you own one of these cars or you're planning to buy one, just keep in mind dealership is your only source, or very handful of Volvo specialty shop, although they'll usually want to work on the good old ones, not the modern complicated ones. Heads up on that. Then there are a few other observations. You know, half this car is probably put together with a few clips. Then the air filter. Let's do the count. This is manufacturers. If you're watching, cut this because it doesn't make sense. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 torque screws holding the air filter. Why can't we just have 2 clips? This goes back to them not wanting you to be here. And then the other observation, the strut top here, that's done. You need a special tool to take that. I mean, it's just a strut. Can we not have a special tool to take that? You see where I'm coming with? They just don't want you here. And the last thing is, and this is, the hood. You notice that the hood has a very wide angle to open, which is great. If you need to pull this engine out, you don't have to worry about the hood. You got plenty of space. Whatever you need to do, light will come in and great. But here's the problem. I'm 5'7". I feel like this one is even worse than the previous one. You have to come here, which now I'm putting side load on this hood to close it. But it gets worse than that. Watch this. If I open it and do this, watch the kind of the speed it goes up at. It shakes the whole hood. I mean, it's nice to have hood shocks and all, but a service position would have been nice. So heads up, you got to go from the side, bend the hood to bring it down, and close it. Your XC90. Let's take a look underneath the 2025 Volvo XC90. For 2025, this is exactly the same. Nothing have changed here. Although they say they tweaked the suspension, but it feels exactly the same. Let's take a look at the front here. So this is a very Swedish suspension. You have aluminum knuckle, ball joint that is separate mounted, but the ball joint is part of the control arm. I wish that was the other way around. And then at the top you have a aluminum control arm very at the top, and then you have this giant contraption where the strut sits on and the axle goes through it. This is a full air suspension car, so this is the air shock right here. It contains the shock and the air spring, and it is adjustable. You have the little actuator right here. And then here's a surprise with this car. It does have a single piston caliper. They're pretty big brakes, but the single piston caliper, I mean, I guess they made it work, and it works. Then everything in the front is pretty well covered. That's something you typically expect. Then we come here to, how should I say, the interesting stuff. I guess blue, very shiny blue exhaust hangers, and then there's just random hose just comes around here. No worries. That's the hoses that go to the battery. Speaking of, look at this exhaust that goes underneath the battery before we get to the battery. I mean, it is beautiful. Look at these thick flanges. This is just beautiful. My favorite section is this part. They kind of made it this odd shape so it wouldn't stick out. It's just beautiful. The exhaust quality here is impeccable. The battery, this is what we talked about. This is the strange thing about the TE system. The battery sits in the transmission tunnel. It's actually on top of this. This is all battery. It's a very long, very narrow, and kind of tall battery. It's an interesting setup that they have it here. And then the fuel tank sits right here. It's a saddle fuel tank because there is no drive shaft, no nothing. And then here's the twin motor part. This is the rear electric motor. This is what drives the rear wheels, and this is where you can switch back and forth or both. Pretty interesting setup here. Rear suspension, you have this enormous control arm that is aluminum. It's just, yeah. Steel arm here, aluminum knuckle as well. You have a single piston caliper with the integrated park and brake motor. If we come around here, this shock is also adjustable, and it is separate from the airbag for the air suspension. So that is actually, that's a better setup. I wish they were able to do that in the front. I know it's easier said than done. And then there is airlines everywhere. You see some of them here because the pump is right here. That's they usually, make sure it rattles when it runs. This one doesn't, but you know what I mean. Single big muffler and 2 exhaust tips. They don't go through the bumper or anything. Here is this super annoying speaker that when you're in electric mode, it will make all kinds of noise and kind of take out the quietness of the EV mode. Let's take a look at the outside and the inside of the 2025 Volvo XC90, which got a new face. And I really had to look hard to find the difference, but the grille is different. Oh, it's just this. Actually, it's a very nice grille. It's this car was a good-looking car before, and now it remains a good-looking car. The headlights have changed. Some of the, the makeup have changed, but still looks pretty good. It still looks very relevant, even though this is technically an old design. I like that less is more with this car. I mean, there isn't much going on. The hood's completely flat. You have one crease, second one here. That's it. It's kept it extremely simple because this is an elegant design. When you come to the side, car designers, take note. This is how classy cars look like. You have a line that goes from the front all the way to the back. There isn't an over-styling of this car. It just looks right. It has a very interesting profile. It's a very elegant looking car. The wheels are really nice. They're 21-inch wheels. They're so updated for 2025. And you have lock, unlock in the front and the back, something you expect in a car that is very expensive. Here's what I love about this. They didn't do some sweep, strange design here and then half this window is gone. You have a huge window here. That gives you great visibility, which is really nice. And as we wrap around the back, they did some updates here. I don't see them, but this is an unmistakable Volvo look. I mean, you can't mistake this for anything but a Volvo because they don't follow anybody else's trend. They do their own thing, and it looks beautiful. Volvo written out here in a very interesting font. T8 plug-in hybrid, all-wheel drive, XC90. Badging is okay, but notice this interesting design. Most manufacturers, this panel will stop right here. This one continues all the way to the edge. I love that. It's just different. It's unique. And that's how car manufacturers these days are all copying each other. This is unique. This is on a planet of its own. You do have a little bumper here, not like new cars that are cutting the bumper completely. You have a little bit of bumper. Let's take a look at the back here. Pretty fast door. That's the first thing you're going to notice. It does have dual motors. They do go through the headliner, unfortunately, but that's how they do this. Now, the back area here, it's actually a decent storage for a three-row car. Now, the third row is not very big. It's only 2 people, but that's a pretty decent storage. The only space that is taken is this curve right here, but this is pretty cool. Underneath here, you do have space for a couple sandwiches. Not really much else. And then if you pull this, which here it is, you do have some of your tools. Spare tire inflate kit. This doesn't have a spare tire. These 2 tanks are for the air suspension, just preserve tanks. Pretty cool. This could be a little bit less flimsy. That would be really nice, but could live with that. Now here's the problem. This is a third row SUV. You want to fold the seats back. You just do this and then go away. I can live with that, although something here to release them would be nice. But now how do you get them back up? Let me show you how you get them back up. You have to go all the way to the front. Tell your kids, get out. Do this. Put the seat up. And then, once you figure this one out, there we go. Go to the other side. Tell your other kid, get out. And then you put the third row up and this. And now you get to put this last seat up. I mean, this car cost almost $89,000. Why are these not power? And better yet, why don't we have a strap that I can bring the seat back up from here? I don't know. Moving on from that, let's put them down again. This is a pretty good space. And what I love about it is this material is a very heavy duty material. I love it, but it's not like a cheapo plastic. It feels very nice. The materials they use here are really nice. Now, if you fold the second row seat, that is a lot of space. That is the nice thing about this car. It is usable. It's not, electric this and electric that, but I just wish we could put this up without having to go all the way here. And then here's the last gimmick for you. You have two buttons here. In case this car is extremely high or extremely low, you can change the height. Now, it works down, but here we go. It just needs some time. Yeah, gimmick. You have a button to close the back door, and lock the car, this door is pretty fast. That's a nice thing. Some of them really take their time. Yeah. And that noise is that pump we looked at. Let's take a look at the inside. This is where things are updated. Let's take a look at the interior here because it's basically the same with some tweaks. Main thing is this area, or actually just from half this, got changed. Everything else is exactly the same. So, the previous one, the one before 2025, they had a very strange Android tablet that was very clunky and felt at times like you were operating a little Android tablet, not really a car. Certain features was a question mark. And now 2025, all updated, all new. It also feels like a generic Android tab, slightly better, slightly faster, but still lacks every single feature you expect from an $89,000 car, like wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I mean, you can buy an economy car that has wireless Apple CarPlay, not here. But hey, you have a wireless charger, so I guess we're moving in the right direction. Yeah, I think buttons would be nice for some of the stuff. I mean, we have some buttons here, but here's what the buttons do. They skip track and then volume and play, pause, hazard, whatnot. And then a button for the glove box. Now, why couldn't the glove box just have a handle? That would be nice, but hey, but the good things are, the fit and finish here is very nice. Headliner material is very nice. The leather is very nice, and the design of the seat, especially this headrest, this is a classic Volvo design. I love it. I love this wood. It is, although when you touch it, it makes a very cheapo sound, but it's very nice to look at. And this is why folks pay this much for a car. They want a nice place to be in. Love this optional sound system. Sounds amazing. Love the speakers on the doors and the design of everything. It just looks great. But then there is one small elephant in the room, actually three of them. What exactly is this? And I know someone will say recycled materials, but I don't want recycled materials. I want nice things in my car that I paid this much for. There's a tiny little piece here, tiny little piece here. And that's the end of the horrible material. This is possibly the nicest thing about this car. I'm flat out honest. This is a shifter that is a crystal. It is the coolest thing ever. I love it. This is how you do luxury cars. Things like this. Because otherwise, even the economy car will get you places. But things like that. This is what people will admire this car for. But what they will not admire about this car is the size of the center console. Yeah, for such a big car, we could have a bigger center console. That would be nice. This is a little area here where you can put items. Now, the gauge. It is a screen. It can display the map. But here's the strange thing. You only have two modes. You can display the map or not display the map. And nothing else you can really customize much. And it really takes you a minute to figure out how to show the odometer. That's the only thing you can do with this screen. I mean, the cheapest economy cars with a screen can do a little bit more. I'm not complaining. At least it has the map, which is actually a nice feature. But I mean, we updated the car. Anyways, steering wheel Very nice steering wheel, very clear to operate. You only have two buttons that will not make sense. This one, which changes map, no map, and then the middle one, if you press and hold it, it'll show you the number. And cruise control on this side. It is a simple steering wheel to operate, which I really appreciate. Here's the good and bad about this interior. The good is, it has that classy, elegant feel to it. You get here, it's nice to look at, it's comfortable, it's very well insulated, and it rides very nicely. But at the same time, it doesn't take you much to realize the shortcuts. Screen, this feels very generic and non-branded. It just feels like a generic Android tablet. And then you start to look, okay, this is a family-oriented SUV, and it is very nice in that aspect. But you start looking at the tiny storage here, not really a lot of storage everywhere. The glove box that needs a button to open it. There's good and bad, folks. The good thing is build quality is nice here on the inside. It's very comfortable. The bad thing is it takes you a really long time to get used to things, and some things you'll just never get used to. And that's the problem with this. Let's take a look at the second row seat of the XC90. I immediately see one small problem. The seat. It is a very nice seat, but it's too low to the ground. And if you look at my thigh angle here, it's not a very comfortable seat. I mean, the front you sit, the seat will support your inner thighs here. That makes a comfortable seat. This, not so much. And you do have separate climate zone. You have a little shade here for the kiddos. It's equally as nice here. This is not the only part that isn't. This is just a slob of plastic. But overall, it's nice, but I feel like the seat needs to be a little bit higher. But then if it is, you have less headroom, so I guess they had to make a compromise here. There's a very important feature in the back of this particular XC90. You have these things which completely look out of place to put your round objects here. But then if these are not enough, because you know, this is the United States, we need 17 of these, you have one more here. I mean, the level of Swedish engineering that went into creating this is unrivaled. Because this feels more solid than anything else in this car. That's how they do things. Let's take a look at the third row, which is... Okay. Yeah, this is not very comfortable. This is meant for kids, not really adults. And the best part is you have these cutouts here, and there's another one here. This is for a cover in the back, in case. And then there's this vent here and a vent here. This vent's actually nice. This one's interesting, but there's no shade here. But you do have a lot of speakers here and some light just to distract you from the super uncomfortable seat, third row seat. There's only two of them here, and they are not for adults. Let's put it this way. So, the Volvo XC90 in 2025. Folks, this is a very Swedish car. And that's what's unique about it. See, the Swedes do things very differently than everybody else. And they are unique in the way their thought process and everything. And I understand Volvo is not owned by whoever, but that's who designs this car. So here's the good and bad. Let's just get right into it. The good is, Volvo owners, once you're a Volvo owner, you'll never drive anything else. There is a loyalty there that never breaks. This car, initially, when you look at it, here's what it delivers. It's a very elegant, classy looking, both inside and outside. It has a character to it. It's not show off and over the top. It's sophisticated. That's the feeling you get when you see it, you sit in it, and you experience it. But at the same time, it takes you a very long while to get used to everything. And even when you do, you'll still have that voice in the back of your head. Why is this way? Why does it have to be strange? We've reviewed an XC90 in the past, and our comments on that one was, it's starting to show its age, and the price is not budging. It was very expensive and lacked the most basic tech in any luxury car. So this one got fully updated. At least the appearances. But it still has the same problem. If anything, it got worse. I mean, we just updated the infotainment system. Why doesn't it have wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto? I am not exactly sure. That's the first problem. Second problem, The previous one had a generic feeling Android tablet just glued to the middle of the dash. This one has a slightly different Android generic tablet that is just glued to the dash. That's the problem. And for that, you get to pay more. This particular one is almost $89,000. At that price range, your options are limitless of what kind of options and other SUVs you can have. So I feel like the problem is getting worse, not better. This is starting to show its age, and on the reliability front, and I understand this price range, this might not be a top priority. This car is unique but strange. That equals to you're only going to have a specific person work on these. You can't have anyone prepare it, your trusted family mechanic or whatnot. It has to be the dealership because these cars are just unique. They're not everybody's going to say they're okay working on them. Maybe change brakes or whatnot, but anything beyond that, things complicated. That's the one thing, and expensive and unique, and it lacks a lot of features. Folks, this is the problem with cars like this. I really admire the Swedishness about this car. It is just impressive. The level of we're just going to do things our way. And it's beautiful. It gives it a character. And when you take that out of the equation, it's a very classy car that's not a show-off car. And it is a nice place to be in. But at the same time, if you're paying this kind of money, you'd want which now every economy car offers: wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, a little bit better infotainment, a few other interesting features. This one skips that altogether. Folks, I hope this video is helpful and informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some other videos. Until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.